Can we have a little tour?
Sure. It's I will say that all the rain, it's a bit of a muddy mess, so we're probably gonna skip the animals for now, just because, especially
Nigel's got white sneakers on, guys.
Yeah, and
What is this contraption?
that is a chicken plucker.
That is a chicken plucker?
Yes. So
I've never seen one.
we have chickens for eggs, but we legally can't sell any meat unless it's been processed at a USDA inspected facility. And the Georgia Department of Agriculture really doesn't like small farms competing with the giant mega chicken houses.
No, they don't.
So they make it very challenging for us to compete with them. So there's only one USDA inspected facility in the state of Georgia that accepts chickens from small producers and not the big giant like mega corporation people. I mean, a lot of the chicken houses, they're owned by locals. Like they are small, business owners, like, small farms, but they have contracts with, like, they're growing those specifically for the big companies.
Oh, okay.
They're not growing those and then selling them directly to the consumer.
Yeah,
Like,
got it.
Like when you're driving through this area and you see the big chicken houses, like they're selling to like Purdue and Pilgrims and like
Tyson, all that.
Yeah, like all that. So it's yes, they are small farms.
Yes.
They are.
So this is for your family, basically.
Yes. So we do have a loophole, and so we can sell live animals. We can't sell the meat unless it's processed in a USDA inspected facility. But what we can do is we can have a chicken processing workshop, which we host usually once or twice a year, where we teach people how to process chickens. We do a little bit of like a slideshow talking about like different types of chickens and kind of the process itself and sanitation. Coming from a restaurant background, like sanitation's huge for me. So I always want to make sure that that's a big focus, because you don't want to spend all this time raising your own food and then making your family sick.
Right.
So then we come out, I do a live demonstration, like literally pick up a live chicken and go through the entire process from pasture to here. It's in a shrink wrap bag ready to stick in the fridge and then enjoy. So when people come to the workshop, they have the opportunity to purchase a live chicken from me. Mm-hmm. And then they can process a chicken with one-on-one help.
Nigel, we have to do the chicken processing.
We have 25 acres.
Yeah.
About 10 of it is pasture, but there's a lot of even, that's another thing, like landscaping and maintenance that we don't have time to do, and nor do we have the money to pay somebody else to do it for us. Mm-hmm. So it's, you have to prioritize, like, what is going to make us money, and then also, like, if we don't do this, will it negatively impact us in the long run? Skulls, when we take our pigs to the butcher, we tell them, we want everything back we brought in a whole animal, give me a whole animal back. So we let the chickens have some of them, because chickens are omnivores.
Okay,
so they'll pick off any meat that the butcher didn't get off of there, and then the dogs like to chew on them. So
talk about repurposing and using everything.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty cool.
We work with the NRCS, which is the Natural Resource Conservation Service. That's a division of the USDA. They help farms do things to better conserve and have better practices. So all of the new regenerative ag stuff that's going on right now, that is with the NRCS. And it's kind of a need-based thing. So it's based on points. Like, you get points for being in a rural area. You get points for being a new farmer, low economic status, veteran status, if you're a minority, if you're a woman. These 2 high tunnels we have were, for the most part, paid for by the USDA. This bed is spent. We had fava beans and lettuce in here, and there are some weeds in there, but the thing is, Mother Nature hates being naked. Yep. So that's one of the things, like one of the reasons weeds exist. So nature always wants something growing. Bare soil is a bad thing. So cover cropping is when you put in a crop specifically to add nutrients to cover the soil, help prevent erosion, and prevent weeds from growing in that bare soil. Tilling is major disturbance of the soil. Something on the back of a tractor that will has giant like tines on it, and it just like pulverizes the soil and like breaks up compaction. In a conventional setting, if they were to cover crop, they would use a tiller and just chop up all those cover crops, leave all of that organic matter into the soil. And it is helpful, but it still exposes all the microorganisms in the soil that cannot survive the sun and the hotter temperatures. It kills them, and those microorganisms are actually what are responsible for delivering the nutrients to the roots of the plant. It kills everything and creates like massive amounts of bare soil, and like it makes all of the carbon that was sequestered into the ground go into the atmosphere. So we had fava beans and lettuce here. We don't pull plants, we actually cut them off at the soil surface and leave the roots there. It helps prevent erosion, and as they decompose, it helps with aeration and just adds more organic matter and fertility to the beds. We just sowed a bunch of carrots right here. We put in 7 rows of carrots. So we mulched them and then put this row cover over, because carrots are notoriously difficult for most home gardeners because they don't realize that they have to stay moist until they germinate. So, and they don't like to be really deep either. So you have to sow them very, very shallow and then keep them moist for like, sometimes it can take weeks for them to germinate.
And that's what this...
Yes. So this is just helping keep the moisture in. So once they germinate, we'll pull this off so that they can get sun and photosynthesize and have some incredible carrots to sell this fall.
Are these some kind of melons?
Yep, watermelon.
Okay.
So the watermelon, we don't necessarily grow for market because they do require a lot of fertility, and when you're not using synthetics, it can be very expensive. They take up a lot of space. So we honestly put them in there as kind of a placeholder until we're ready for late fall. Like when we harvest them, we'll put in probably arugula or spinach in this bed.
Well, and then your family gets to enjoy some watermelon,
Right,
which
exactly.
is lovely.
Yeah, because I mean, we do sell to the public, but we also, part of this is so that we can provide good stuff for our family and not have to go to the grocery store for as much as, you know, most people. I mean,
and get the quality.
Right. And so we follow a lot of other like farmers that are, you know, no-till and regenerative, and, you know, that have, they're more established. They've been doing it for longer than us, and they have put in the numbers to see what makes sense. And there are farmers that say that if they sold watermelon, basically the money to offset the money they're losing by growing, say, lettuce or another, you know, faster, more profitable crop, they would have to sell a watermelon for about $40 to $50.
Oof.
Same thing with corn. They say like an ear of corn would have to cost about $10 to equal the same amount of profit as like a head of lettuce.
Yeah.
Again, if you're putting synthetics in there, they can grow a lot faster, and you don't have to spend as much money to get them where they are, which is why, you know, you go to the farmer's market, you see guys with pickup truck loads full of corn. I promise you that it is not organic.
Nope, GMO, I'm sure.
It's probably not GMO because there are small
Really?
producers. So something that a lot of people don't know about GMOs is you actually have to have a very specific license to even be able to purchase GMO seeds.
Huh.
So unless you're growing commercially on thousands and thousands of acres, you probably don't have that license. So most people, even the people who have, you know, 20 acres of corn that they're growing like locally, they're probably using heirloom seeds or even a hybrid seed.
But then they have to spray and do the chemical
yes,
part
because
anyway.
yeah, they're extremely heavy feeders. They are very susceptible. Every pest loves corn.
Yeah, I've tried to grow it 3 times.
We're trying to grow some for ourselves. We put in like 60 plants. We got them in a little bit later than we should have, just because it wasn't a high priority, because it's not going to make us money. So they're not looking great right now, but it's, you know, one of those things where, again, if we didn't put that there, a weed would be growing in its place.
Right.
So why not?
This is great.
Yeah. So the tomatoes may not be doing really well in here, but the holy basil's doing really well.
Uh-huh.
So we've got holy basil in this row, and then with these tomatoes, we have some Italian basil. So we harvested a bunch of that and sold that at the farmer's market this weekend.
Nice.
But yeah, the tomatoes are looking pretty sad. Like even the cucumbers and the tomatoes in our high tunnels have a lot more fungal issues.
Oh yeah, with all the rain.
Because of the humidity. Even though they're not getting directly rained on. And we have fans in here that help circulate. Oh, it's especially humid in here with the fan off. Sorry, it's very cluttered. So we're growing 3 different types of cucumbers in here. I harvested those this morning before you got here. But we have pickling cucumbers, a Japanese cucumber, and then a garden sweet cucumber, which is kind of looks more like what you're used to seeing at the grocery store, but still better flavor. And we have a variety of hot peppers in that row, and then sweet peppers and some eggplant in this row, and then some Tabasco peppers at the very end.
Nice.
Most of the hot peppers are for us or making value-added products.
Right.
Because when you are like, hey, I have like 100 habaneros, does anybody want to buy them? Like people are like, ooh, I love habaneros, and they buy like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But then if we turn them into like a peach habanero jam, or like we made a habanero salt, when you do the math, you make a lot more money selling those products. Kind of like sausage, like, you know, we sell our ground pork and our sausage for the same price, but more people are going to go for something that's already seasoned and ready to go versus just like a plain thing. Or like, what else do we do that's value added? Even the jalapenos, like, you know, we sell a decent amount of fresh jalapenos, but we also make cowboy candy with a lot of our jalapenos. And,
oh, that's funny.
And people will buy that. We did an experiment. We weren't sure how this was going to do. We put a bunch of summer squash in between the 2 tunnels, knowing that they wouldn't get as much airflow and that the shade cloth on the tunnels would probably be prohibitive. And they've been producing, but they have gotten a lot more fungal issues because of the lack of airflow from the 2 tunnels. The tunnels, like these have a plastic on them. A lot of times when people have more money, they can get like a polycarbonate that's lasts pretty much forever unless it gets, you know, damaged from the weather. But what happens is the sun comes in and this acts as a diffuser. So kind of like if you have a lamp in your living room, you have a lamp in the corner of your living room. If you take the shade off and you turn your lamp on, you're gonna have a very bright spot just in the corner. When you put the shade on there, it diffuses the light and spreads it around so it lights up the whole room. This does the same thing. So when the sun hits this, the light diffuses and basically bounces off every single surface so that every part of the plants can photosynthesize. So in the field, if the sun is rising in the east side of your plants are going to have sun exposure and be able to photosynthesize. The overhead, afternoon sun, the tops will be able to photosynthesize. And as the sun is setting on the west, that side will photosynthesize. This is, as long as the sun is in the sky, every single point of the plant photosynthesizes.
That's really cool. I did not know that.
So basically, leaves on plants are like solar panels. So they literally take the energy from the sun combined with water and carbon dioxide in the air to create, you know, the sugars and like the fibers and like in the fruit, everything that grows. I mean, that's literally how they grow, is by taking the sun's energy and water and carbon dioxide from the air. Like with the rain, for example, a lot of the plants like the cucumbers and the squash and the tomatoes, they don't like their foliage being wet. They're very susceptible to fungal disease. So if you can keep the leaves dry and then you can keep good airflow, you're less likely to get those fungal issues. Again, it's been so humid. We need to put more circulating fans in here and maybe space the plants a little bit more. We're still learning. This is only our 2nd season growing with the high tunnels, so we're still learning and making improvements each year. I mean, that's what we say. There are no failures. There's just opportunities to learn from your mistakes and do better next time. Every single hoop is connected to a ground post that's 4 feet long, but 2 feet of it's underground. So each one of these has about 40 ground posts holding it into the ground so that, and there's wind bracing. So basically, I think they said they're rated for up to like 150 mile an hour winds or something crazy like that. So they're permanent, whereas low tunnels are, they're usually smaller, they're not as wide, and they usually kind of have just like shallow posts. So high winds, they can topple over pretty easily.
So how does the rain get in these?
It doesn't.
Oh, so they don't.
So you have to water?
You have to use irrigation.
Okay.
So we have drip irrigation in the whole garden, even like the outer beds, like you can see some drip tube right there. So we have valves on every single line so that like when it's raining, we can just have all the other valves turned off and the stuff inside the tunnel still needs to be watered, so we leave those valves on when we turn the water on. And then also where you put shade cloth. So both of these tunnels have 50% white shade cloth. So 50% meaning that it blocks 50% of the sun, which doesn't allow for as much photosynthesis, but it does keep things cooler because the sun is hot. So if we didn't have that shade cloth on here, it would probably be about 20 degrees hotter when the sun's up. Because even in the winter time or in the spring, we weren't going to put the shade cloth on until like May or June. But in March, it was getting so hot in here that we decided to go ahead and put the shade cloth on. And I will tell you, like, walking in when the shade cloth was on versus off like the same day, like minutes apart, it was easily 20 degrees cooler.
Wow.
It made a huge difference. A lot of people use black shade cloth, but that actually attracts heat and holds heat. So in the winter, if you have a lot of sunlight but you still want to, it'll actually bring in some heat, but also help diffuse. So like things like peppers, you think of peppers as like these, loving hot environments, but they're very susceptible to sun scald. So they actually do much better in a diffused growing situation.
I was going to say, please catch some footage in here because this is so beautiful.
I just harvested a bunch of the tomatoes. I harvested from both of the tunnels right before you came.
That's fabulous.
So we have our cherry tomatoes we have our cherry tomatoes in this row. We have some red tomatoes that we're not terribly pleased with in this row, and some heirloom varieties on the back row, and then all heirlooms in this row. Because everybody, for whatever reason, like 80% of the customers, like they want the grocery store equivalent of whatever we're growing. Like they're attracted to what they're familiar with. Like most people are creatures of habit. They want what they're familiar with. So when they want a tomato, they're used to seeing red tomatoes, they want a red tomato. Like, why is this tomato purple? Why is this tomato yellow? Like, why isn't this tomato ripe? And it's like, it is ripe. That's what it looks like. And so the people who are familiar with them absolutely love them, like, because the flavor is unmatched. We were trying to find some red varieties that had good flavor and did well in high tunnels. We're not especially happy with them. They taste better than a grocery store tomato, but I mean, if I had to choose, like, we literally only grow them because it makes a percentage of the customers happy.
So I have to say something, because one of the things I love about what you're doing is that you are a trained chef. So often I hear Nick say, the flavor, like he's growing things for the flavor and the nutrition. And yeah, people will learn. Maybe just get them to try a little of this.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do that, but it's so much better.
Right, like these on the other tunnel, the Japanese cucumbers, they are the most flavorful, delicious cucumber I've ever had in my entire life. Like the really thin skin, the seeds are really small and completely edible. Like it's like English cucumber to like the nth degree. It's so good. And like people look at them, they're like, what is this? Is this a zucchini? What is this thing? I'm like, it's a cucumber. And they're like, why does it look like that? It's a Japanese cucumber. And actually that variety is called unagi, which is Japanese for eel, because it's got a smooth skin, it's long and it's slender. So
that's very cool.
I was gonna say, when you said unagi, I've seen that on restaurants. Yeah. Like I've eaten that. Yeah.
And but people were kind of apprehensive, and we were selling a lot more of the garden sweet cucumbers that look like it's more similar to a grocery store cucumber. But as we've been talking about them, like on social media and just talking to our customers at the market and the store about it, more people have tried them, and they've actually surpassed the garden sweet in sales over the last several weeks.
Yay.
So also in this tunnel, we have this entire row over here is jalapenos, and then we have, let's see what we have on that far, and we have some green onions that just got transplanted along the wall there.
Okay, I can see the jalapenos.
Yep. And then all of these are a sweet pepper. These are called Carmen sweet peppers.
Okay.
They're very similar to a bell pepper in the fact that they have no heat to them whatsoever. They're really sweet. All bell peppers start off green and then ripen to either red, yellow, or orange, depending on their variety. This particular variety all ripens to red. You can see a couple down there that have some red on them. But these have better flavor. They don't look the same as a bell pepper, but they do have a similar but better flavor. And they're also just healthier plants. They are more productive Bell peppers notoriously will only yield like 2 to 4 fruit per plant the entire season.
Oh, wow. Well, you know, you would pay, and I have, $4 at Whole Foods for a lovely big heirloom tomato like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So if we sprayed a bunch of poison on it, then we probably wouldn't have that issue.
Well.
And that's one of the things a lot of people don't understand about organics, or you know, anybody who, so us, we're actually certified naturally grown, which has even stricter standards than USDA organic, because we're not allowed to use any synthetics whatsoever. Whereas USDA organic lets a lot of stuff slide because the USDA is more focused on preventing starvation of US citizens than like not giving you cancer.
Right.
So if you spray poison on everything, you're not going to starve because there'll be plenty of food to eat. It's also why the food pyramid exists the way it does, because these things are really cheap and easy to grow. So eat all of these so we can prevent you from starving to death.
Yeah.
So there's that. Like, there is not a single organic fungicide, and you can put whatever fungicide you want on plants in organic production. Like 40% of USDA organic approved pesticides are banned in the EU because they know they cause cancer.
Right.
So here's a second succession of summer squash that has more airflow, as you can see.
Beautiful.
Got a little bit of dirt kicked up on it from the rain. So I've harvested some really beautiful zucchini and squash off of this morning.
Nigel, get a pan of just how gorgeous this
this side of the garden looks a little bit nicer than the other one. And these beds we actually built last fall. So these are all relatively new beds. You can see there's still a lot of clay in the soil, but they will become blacker and more rich and less compact and fluffy as time goes on. And these collards we actually left here as a trap crop because they're on the ends, and like this snail, he's eating our collard greens, but you know what we're gonna do with him? We're gonna turn him into eggs. We're gonna feed him to the chickens. So that's one of the reasons that we like having animals as well as doing the produce, is because it's like the circle of life. Like, we're able to compost the manure to feed the garden. We're able to take our pest damage or things that maybe we wouldn't want to eat because like I personally don't want to eat like giant caterpillars, but the pigs don't care, the chickens don't care. The cows don't get a whole lot of the produce. We will give them some squash and things like that have that we can't sell, or maybe like that we know we'd have to cut off and we're not able to eat them. We have a lot of people who donate their decorative gourds that haven't been bleached or painted or cut or anything like that, and we'll feed those to the pigs and the cattle.
Oh, that's cool.
And you said this is a trap crop?
Yes.
What is a trap?
So a trap crop is something you intentionally plant to draw in pests. A lot of brassicas, so like things in the cabbage family, are really susceptible to pest damage. Mustard is actually probably the strongest. So a lot of times people will plant mustard because all of the pests that find their way into the garden will go to that because it's the most delicious. There are also a lot of flowers that are crab traps. The wild blackberries are crab traps. So as much of a pain as they are, it's not necessarily a bad thing because like the Japanese beetles typically stay out of the garden, but you can walk along the tree lines and you'll find tons of Japanese beetles and damage on the wild blackberries.
Interesting. I've got wild blackberries trying to take over in my yard. I might have to leave some of them.